She didn't even knock. That same white BMW came flying down the gravel path again, kicking up dirt like she owned the land. I was hauling hay near the barn when the engine roared past Mogan. For the third time this week, Karen and her sister, laughing in the car like it was a damn racetrack. I raised my hand, tried to wave them down, but she just sped by. Her window rolled down just enough for her to yell, "You should move that fence. It's in our way." I stood there, stunned, holding a pitchfork, the wind from her car slapping dust into my face. My land. My fence. She wasn't even supposed to be on this side of the property. Last year, she moved in 3 plots over, some new HOA development built on the edge of old farmland. But she didn't want to take the paved road like everyone else. Karen said my dirt path was faster, smoother, cuter. I told her 3 times, this is private. I even put up a handmade sign. Private farm road, do not enter. She tore it down. Said the HOA had other plans for this path. What? Hoa? My land's been here for generations. My father used to say, land doesn't argue, but people sure will fight over it. That night, I went inside furious. My boots still muddy. My son, Caleb, he's just 12, watched me from the kitchen table. He knows when something's wrong. I didn't tell him much. Jess asked what happened, and I said, we got guests that don't know how to knock. But I kept thinking about it, the way she looked at me like I was just some dumb farmer standing in the way of her shortcut. Next morning, tire marks. Deep, fresh. She'd done it again. Right through the soft soil I just tilled for next season's planting. That was it. I didn't yell, didn't chase. I just stared at those tracks and smiled a little, because Karen didn't know. I'd been digging a trench for a new irrigation line right across that same dirt path, and I hadn't covered it up yet. The next day felt like the silence before a storm. I didn't fix the trench, didn't warn her, just went about my day, feeding the chickens, trimming the hedges near the gate. I kept glancing at the clock. 3:15. Like always, that's when her engine usually howled in the distance. And right on time. There it was. The sound of entitlement. That BMW screeched around the bend. Her sister riding shotgun again, both holding iced coffees like they were headed to brunch. I stepped aside, watching from under the oak tree. They didn't even slow down. Karen had her sunglasses on like she was in some commercial, until it happened. Thunk! That car dove nose first into the trench like a fish caught mid-jump. Both front wheels dropped into the gap. The bumper scraped hard against the dirt wall. The whole car jolted violently. Coffee exploded across the white leather seats. One tire spun helplessly in the air. The front grille cracked. Karen screamed louder than the engine. I didn't move, just chewed a piece of straw, and watched. She threw the door open, stumbled out in heels, and shouted, "You did this on purpose!" Her sister climbed out the other side, covered in caramel foam. It looked ridiculous. I walked over slow, not saying a word. She stomped up to me, finger jabbing. "This is a lawsuit. You'll be hearing from my lawyer. You sabotaged a luxury vehicle." I tilted my head. Luxury vehicles don't usually ignore private property signs. She froze. Then I pulled my phone from my back pocket and pressed play. The video was clear, her car speeding past the sign 3 different days. Tires kicking up dust. Laughing like they were mocking me. She stopped shouting. Stopped breathing. "By the way," I said, "the sheriff already has a copy. Said it's pretty clear-cut." She blinked. "You called the cops on me?" I nodded. "Nope. Didn't have to. He's my cousin." Said it might be time to talk about trespassing. Her face dropped like her car into that ditch. Then it got worse. Her sister, still trying to yank open the bent car door, screamed, "Karen!" The engine lights blinked. Karen spun around like it was my fault. "You're gonna pay for this, farmer freak. HOA trumps backyard rules." I took a slow step forward, looked her dead in the eye and said, "You just paid the price. Your shortcut ends here." She didn't scream after that, just stood there, humiliated, covered in coffee, her precious BMW stuck like a trophy in my field. But trust me, This was just the beginning. It wasn't even 2 hours later when the real show began. I was in the shed fixing a hinge when I heard a deep rumble. Another car, slow, heavy, official. A black SUV with a gold HOA emblem on the side. And behind it, a tow truck. Karen stood proudly next to them, arms folded, smug face back on. Her sister had changed clothes, but her shoes were still muddy. The man in the HOA blazer stepped out, clipboard in hand. "Sir," he said, fake polite, "this property appears to be in violation of HOA Code 1-4B, obstructing communal access." I raised an eyebrow. "This isn't your community. This is a farm. Private property. Been in my family since 1954. He smirked. "Actually, Karen brought forward a petition that this road has been unofficially shared by the neighborhood. That makes it a potential access point under provisional review. We have the right to remove hazards, including vehicles and debris." I looked past him. The tow truck driver was lowering the hook. Not toward Karen's car, but toward my tractor. I stepped forward, voice low. "Touch that tractor and you'll wish you read a little deeper into land law." Karen laughed behind me. "You're done, farmer boy. HOA trumps your backyard rules." I didn't argue. Just walked to my truck, opened the glove compartment, and pulled out a thin black folder. Inside, every deed, every survey, and one specific signed letter from the county zoning office, dated just 2 months ago, stating clearly that this road belongs to my plot. Legally sealed and recorded. I handed it to the HOA guy. "Here, read section 3 out loud." He hesitated, scanned it, and his face changed. Karen stepped in. What is it?" He turned to her slowly. "It says, not only is this land fully private, but your car is unlawfully parked on restricted agricultural terrain." Karen's voice cracked. "That can't be real. He forged that." I smiled and tapped the sheriff's badge number at the bottom of the page. The tow truck guy looked confused. "So, do I tow her car?" The HOA rep muttered something and walked back to the SUV without another word. Then another engine. A police cruiser. Karen went pale. She whispered, "You called the cops?" I looked at her. "Nope. They're just early. I was planning to press charges tomorrow." The officer stepped out, body cam rolling. "We got a report of property damage and trespassing." "Whose vehicle is this?" Karen opened her mouth, then shut it again. "Mine," she finally said. "But this whole thing is—" "Ma'am," the officer cut her off. "Are you aware you're parked on private farmland? And that this land is not part of your HOA jurisdiction?" She glanced at the HOA rep, who was now pretending to be on a phone call. I was told this was shared space." The officer turned to me. "Sir, do you have documentation showing otherwise?" I handed over the folder again. He flipped through it, nodded slowly. "Solid. County seal. Boundary lines clear." Then he asked the question I'd been waiting for. "Would you like to press charges?" Karen's face went ghost white. I shrugged. "Trespassing. Repeated harassment. Property damage. Threats. Yeah, I'd say that's enough for a file." Karen exploded. "I didn't damage anything. That trench wasn't marked." I tilted my head. "That trench is 6 feet wide and flagged with orange cones. Plus, I've got 6 days of footage of you speeding past a private road sign like it's a joke." Her mouth opened and closed like she was swallowing bees. "Ma'am," the officer said, "please step aside. You're not under arrest yet, but I do need your license and registration." 2 neighbors had gathered at the end of the road, phones out, recording everything. That's when Karen snapped. She lunged toward the officer's notepad, shouting, "You're all in on it. He trapped my car. This is harassment. Bad move." The second officer stepped in, restrained her gently but firmly. "Ma'am, calm down. This behavior isn't helping your case." She screamed, "I'll sue everyone. Him, the sheriff, the county." The cop looked at me and muttered just loud enough for her to hear, "These HOA queens always think they own the world, until they meet a farmer with paperwork." I couldn't help but smirk, but deep down, I knew something was off. The way she kept screaming about suing me, about trapping her car, almost like she was setting something up. And I was right, because 3 hours later, there was a knock at my door. It wasn't the police. It wasn't the HOA. It was Child Protective Services. And they said someone filed an anonymous report. Concerns about a child living on unstable property. Possible endangerment. My blood ran cold. Karen wasn't done. Subscribe for more stories.